Well, the day has finally come. I was about to go and collect Jerry so we could go shopping for materials, and Betty's battery was dead. Luckily, I recently spent the best £40 ever on a battery booster pack, and a quarter of an hour later, we were on our way. After boosting Betty, getting from South London to North London to collect Jerry, and then hightailing it round the M25 to Kings Langley to get to the builder's merchant before it closed, Jerry and I felt we deserved a pub lunch on this beautiful day. Big thanks to the guys at WEL Timber for the great pub recommendation. We are in Kings Langley at a pub called the Unicorn because we came to go and get some board and some insulation, and I'm the most proud I've ever been because look at this reversing job that I did. Obviously Jerry helped in terms of, telling me where to go, but I reversed it all the way up there and into this space, and look how close it is. Absolute accuracy. Look at this. Bang on. So proud. Definitely have earned my lunch today. We have had a very productive Saturday. We've been to King's Landing to a timber yard and got the buffalo board and the insulation for the walls. And we are now back at our favourite reclamation yard for another piece of plywood. Welcome back to another week in the bus. I will start off by saying that technically we haven't done anything in the bus this week, or I haven't done anything, and neither has Jerry. That's because I've not really been very well, so it's just we haven't done anything in the bus, but that doesn't mean that things haven't moved forward. So last week I teased that we had encountered a bit of a problem, and so I will give you a bit of the lowdown on that, what it is and what I'm going to do about it. The other thing is that yesterday Jerry and I went on an excursion, and we have now filled up the back of the bus with lots of materials for moving this project forward. So that's quite exciting. So even though we haven't physically done anything in the bus, we have got all the materials together to basically put in the rest of the new floor and do all the insulation of all the walls. And I've got a few bits that have come for me to tidy up the rest of the wiring, and I've ordered one of the water tanks, so that should hopefully come next week as well. So yeah, lots of things happening. Obviously end of the month, had to wait for payday to be able to buy the next group of materials, but I've done that, so that's exciting. And yeah, I thought I would give you a bit of a kind of show and tell and an explanation of what materials we've got, what they're going to be used for. And also I realized that I wasn't really very clear last week when we showed you guys us putting the cutting the floorboards and everything. I didn't really explain very clearly that that's just the sort of top layer of floor, that actually we've got some more work to do. Don't drop the phone, there we go. We've got some work to do obviously in terms of putting in some more layers under that. We're not just putting plywood down on the top and then just expecting that to be fine and open to the elements. So I will show you a little bit of what we are going to do with the floor. So we went from having a really pretty clear, clean bus last week to the back being a bit of a mess now and full up. So this is the leftover ceiling insulation, which I want to keep these pieces just in case we need them. We've got offcuts of the plywood that we cut. We've got the rest of our dead men, which we'll reuse later on for framing. This is the new stuff we got, not the table. The table was just because it was easier to keep it out here by the bus for when we need to cut more things. But as you can see, we've got 3 thinner insulation boards, and that's to basically insulate all of the walls and above the windows. So hopefully I've done the math and that's enough. And then under here you can see this So we've got 4 of these boards. These are called buffalo boards. I think, well, buffalo board is probably the brand name of them, but basically they are 18mm plywood boards, but they're treated with like a resin coating. So on both sides they've got this kind of plasticky resin which makes them really durable. I think they're used a lot in animal haulage, like horse boxes and trailers and things, as the floor, because they're so strong. And this is what's actually going to go between right on the bottom of the chassis that will face like the road and the floor and stuff. So it means that this is going to provide really, really good protection. And then we will put some insulation board, not quite sure what thickness yet, we'll have to figure that out, but then we'll put some insulation board, and then these sit on top of all that. So basically we have like a lovely sandwich of protection and insulation before you get these to top boards. And what's really interesting as well is that because these top boards sit on the cross members, they're the ones that do all the weight bearing. So actually these don't do any weight bearing. They just sort of sit in the bottom of the frame. They'll be screwed in and also foamed in, and then you'll have the foam sitting on top of them, which obviously isn't that heavy. And then these are completely supported by the cross members of the chassis. So that's quite cool. Obviously the only problem that I've realised is that one of my jobs that I wanted to get done was to give the chassis a clean and to paint it with some rust protection paint. Not that it's really showing any signs of rust, but if we've got it available and open and we're doing work, why wouldn't I paint it and give it some extra protection? The only problem is, now that we've got all these massive boards that are really heavy, I can't get the plywood boards up to get access to the chassis. So I need to do a bit of scheduling with Jerry, and I think he's going to have to come and we're going to have to cut all those buffalo boards to the right size. And then before we actually screw them in, I'm just going to have to hopefully plan it on a day when it's good weather and just really blitz, get everything out the inside of the bus, blitz the inside of the bus, clean the chassis, paint the chassis, and then get everything back in. So there's a bit of scheduling to do over the next over the next couple of days so that we can start moving on things this week. Last week I alluded to the fact that we have found a bit of a problem, and I'm going to show you what that problem is right now. Let me turn you around. These are our lovely cut plywood boards. Now if I zoom in a little bit here, you can see we have a bit of a wet patch there. We've got a wet patch here, and we've got a wet patch here. Wet patches are not good. Wet patches mean leaks. So where are these coming from? This one here that you see is coming from here. Oh yeah, can you just see there's even like water coming out under my tape? And I feel fairly confident that is from this area where we fixed solar panel into, because we obviously had to drill some holes through the roof. So clearly that is not sealed well enough. There is water getting in. These ones in the middle are right under this end and this corner of the skylight. Not something I did anything to, but clearly the seals around it have failed. I mean, it's 20 years old, so you know, that's potentially realistic. So we've got some water coming in there. And now finally, this one here. This one I'm a bit confused about, because we do have a solar panel fixing up here, but there is no water or moisture coming from any of these joints. So I don't think it's this. Now, when the water comes in, the rain comes in sideways, I know that this side here, there's a little bit of moisture here actually. I think this side is not sealed very well on my fan. Sorry about that. I had to go and rescue somebody from my dog who decided that she didn't like the hat that she was wearing, so decided to just
keep barking at her, which was not very helpful. Yeah, like I said, I'm not really sure where this specific wet spot is coming from, because it doesn't look to me like there's any moisture coming in from here, and we know that the brackets for the solar panels that we put here, we Sikaflexed inside the holes where we put the bolts, which we actually didn't do on that one, which we did first because we didn't realise. So anyways, all this to say, it's a bit annoying. They're not major leaks, but they're leaks we need to take care of, because if we were to have put a ceiling up, then that could have destroyed the ceiling and also all of the insulation that we're putting in. So one of the jobs this weekend, when it's a bit sunnier, hopefully, is to get back up on the roof. Obviously, I've got some tweaking to do on the roof anyways. Like you said, I need to put a grommet in on the hole I made for the solar panel cables. I need to do some more Sikaflexing anyways, so I think we'll just do a lot. I think we're just going to reseal everything, put a ton of sealant everywhere, and hope that that solves the problem, because I really don't want to have to take apart this whole ceiling and take off all of the solar panels and all the sealant and everything we've put on there already. So let's hope that the least invasive method works first. It is a cold morning. I need to move the bus from where it's parked out on the road outside the car park back into the car park, and as you can see, it is very frosty. This is going to take a little while to defrost. The reason that it's outside the car park is because when I took it out for its excursion on Saturday, by the time I came back, the car park was very full. It's obviously been lovely weather, and I didn't want to take the piss by bringing the bus back in, taking up 2 spaces on a weekend that I knew was going to be really busy. That's a great way to get the council on your bum. So I parked it out on the road. So it's been okay, but I've not been able to see it as easily, and that's just, you know, now that it's during the week, I'd rather move it back inside. But, well, we'll see how long it takes to defrost. I think I might need to buy an ice scraper with a long handle, or an extendable ice scraper. That might be next on my shopping list. Turns out it's not the outside that's the problem, it's the fact that it's frozen on the inside of the windshield. Oh, bus. Hi everyone, welcome back to the bus. You have honestly never met somebody who is so excited to get to work for 3 hours. It's the most glorious, beautiful, warm day, and I've got Laurie and Simon who have said they're going to come and help, and we are going to smash lots of these little jobs that have been building up. So things to achieve today are: get the roof sorted. There's literally no better time than today to get on this roof and get all the new sealant on. And I've brought all my cleaning things, don't worry gang, I've learnt my lesson. I will clean everything before I then seal it. So yes, we're gonna get the roof resealed, and hopefully that will mean no more leaks. We've got massive insulation boards, which are to do all of the walls and the rest of the bits of the ceiling that need thinner bits. So I think Laurie is going to come and cut all the pieces so we can install them. I've got all the bits to finish tidying up all the electrical wires, so I'm going to do that as well. We've got some last little bits to foam in, and I've got some tape. And then if we get all of that done, then I can start removing the sections of plywood that we cut and put on the other day to open up the chassis, and I can start cleaning the chassis and painting the chassis. So as you can see, very ambitious. I've only got 3 hours of daylight left, so let's see how far we get. First of all, I'm going to empty the bus of everything and get my workspaces set up. Yes, let's go! This is my current working setup. All of this is extra plywood and the extra ceiling insulation. This is all stuff to be taken home and kept somewhere, hopefully dry if I can find somewhere, so it's not in the bus. Ladder is ready for when Laurie or Simon come to foot it for me. These are all the insulation boards for the walls that are going to be cut, and that's our extra plywood board, which Jerry and I will deal with tomorrow. Here's a sight we haven't seen in a while, the top of the bus. But it's such a nice day today that there was no way I wasn't getting up here to reseal everything. It definitely doesn't look pretty, but as you can all tell, you'll all be very happy to see I've cleaned around the edges, and I'm going around and I'm just resealing everything, and don't even care if it looks awful, but no moisture is coming in. So I've done all of this side of the bus, and I will move to the other side now. Look at that, perfect area. Welcome everyone to Betty Bus, the sweatshop. So we've got Simon here, who's diligently pulling all the cables through and making everything tidy and getting rid of all the ones that I don't need. Laurie is on insulation duty, so as you can see, she's got a little workshop set up out here where she's cutting all the boards and bringing them in and working on this side of the bus. So it's looking amazing. Just to reassure you all, I did take out this panel here where the solar panel cable wires come in, and ensured that they're all secured properly and not going to rub against the fiberglass ceiling where they come in. So that is all extra watertight and snuggly. So that's all been put back as well. Well, the sun is setting on what has been a massively productive 3 hours this afternoon. I can't even believe how much I managed to get done with Laurie and Simon's help. It's just crazy when you have 3 people independently working on different things, how quickly things go. Obviously, Jerry comes and helps, and we always end up doing a lot, but we're always working on things together, whereas because we were doing all the small fiddly bits, we were able to, all 3 of us today, work on different things. So the entire roof is sikaflexed to within an inch of its life. God help me when I have to come and remove any of that stuff to replace it. But I'm the only person in the country right now who's probably wishing that it wasn't going to be sunny for the next few days, because I'm really interested to see if it rains, whether I get any leaks. But that's not completely true. I will take the sun for as long as we get it. So aside from doing everything on the roof and securing the solar panel cables on the roof and sorting out the entry where they come in on the inside, let me take you through the bus and show you everything else we managed to get done this afternoon. It's just wild. First thing is, you can see all of this wall, bar one little bit, has been insulated. Laurie was an absolute champ, and she was so precise with cutting all the insulation that I don't even need to foam it because it just fits in so tightly. So I've already started taping it, and as you can see at the end here, I ran out of tape, but there's more tape arriving tomorrow, and I will cut the last piece tomorrow. So this whole bit down here will be done. Just need to do that bit, and then obviously we've got the top. But speaking of the top, look, no crazy electrical wires everywhere, because Simon managed to get rid of all of those wires that we weren't using. They've all been safely kind of secured and cut, and we've put ends on them, wing nuts on them and stuff, and they've actually ended up being put back on in here where we won't ever need them. And then we've taped up all the wires that are being used, so they're nice and neat. And then at the back, we've just got them up here where we need to. We've got a couple of little rewiring bits to do, but honestly, it just looks so much tidier, so much neater. So yeah, I can't quite believe it. So still got all this wall to insulate, but I mean, just so much progress in such a small amount of time. It's really warmed my heart, because you know, not doing any work on the bus last week was a bit disheartening. So the fact that a couple of hours has made such a big difference today is just, you know, I'm so overjoyed. And Jerry's back tomorrow for us to tackle these bad boys. These are the buffalo boards, and we're going to start cutting them to size to start you know, getting this floor completely finished. Obviously there's a few steps that need to be done, but tomorrow we will start by cutting these boards to the right size. Means that they'll be much easier to move around, and we can also measure then how much room there is for insulation, and then I can see an excursion in the near future for more insulation board. So lots of fun things coming. See you tomorrow. Also, apologies for the lack of sort of doing stuff footage today. Because I hadn't actually planned on working on the bus today, it just so happened that the thing that I was doing today got cancelled, and so I ended up having just time on my hands, and the weather was perfect, and I had some energy. I was feeling okay. So that being said, I didn't charge any of the cameras because I wasn't thinking I was going to do any filming today, so that's why you only have small clips. But at the same time, how much more time do you want to see me sikaflexing the roof and cutting wires and cutting and installing insulation? You've probably seen enough of that. So yeah, I will recharge cameras so that tomorrow you can see what we're doing. I know I explained this earlier, but now that we've got the boards up and the chassis exposed, I can actually explain to you what we're going to do with the new floor. So I'm at the front of the bus. Now you can see there's these cross members that sit on the kind of main structure of the chassis. So they are like C-beams. Some of them are sort of C facing C, and some of them are C not facing C, like straight. But essentially what we're going to do is the buffalo board is going to sit on the bottom, and there's also a lip here that you can screw into. So buffalo board will sit in the recess here and rest on these. Then we'll have insulation, and then our top boards that rest solely on these cross beams. Obviously, as you can see, I need to do a lot of cleaning, get all the gunk out of the inside of these cross members, give everything a bit of a clean, and then also I want to give things a bit of a paint. But for 20 years old, I mean, look at this. It's dirty, but there's not really any rust anywhere, which is amazing. So Jerry's here today. We're doing a lot of thinking and planning of how we want to do this, because we want to do it right the first time. Our first job, now that we've done a little bit of measuring, we're going to tackle one section. We're going to start cutting one piece of buffalo board to just go one at a time and kind of customize each one to each section to make sure it fits properly. And we may have to have a different way of or place of fixing depending on how each section is laid out, but I'll show you more about that. But at the moment we're outside in the sun. Hopefully we're going to cut one of the buffalo boards. Exciting.
Big smile.
First buffalo board section is measured and we're happy with it. We're not fixing them down yet because, like I said, I've got to do some cleaning and painting, and we also need to add in some plywood supports so that everything lies straight and flat. But we are going to move on to this next section and cut another piece to go there. Sometimes when your brain hurts from doing too much maths and cutting, it's good to have an ice cream break, which is the advantage to working in a car park. This will definitely make the work go better.
But only make the first cut and see if it's 19 and a half.
Oh, look at that, it's right on the 19 goes piece number 2.
It is right, but we'll have to think about it and maybe make some adjustments. But yeah, because that piece was straight.
They look really good though. God, they look
Right,
good.
now.
Our new favourite game in the bus, musical floorboards. This is the point where we really wish that we'd marked them of which way they went.
I'll tell you what, this one's much cleaner on the bottom, so let's leave it cleaner and we might flip it at the later date. Yeah?
Okay. I would say 19.5 is too much.
Yes.
Fucking hell. Could use the jigsaw and take off.
Oh, you do not want to do that. How many? We've got 5 boards.
5 boards. Look at that.
And I tell you what. Oh well, we've got
They're
these
looking
end
good,
pieces.
aren't they?
Yeah, no, we are.
Wow, looking so sharp. Well, there we have it, gang. That's another week on the bus. It's crazy how things can just change so quickly. So obviously a couple of weeks ago I was a bit frustrated that hadn't done any work on the bus, and you know, you just kind of feel like things are moving slowly. But then this week, even though technically I think we put, you know, there was about 8 to 10 working hours this week of work put into the bus, and it just feels like it's leapt forward. I know it's because I had lots of amazing help. Things do work so much quicker when you've got lots of people helping and doing different things, so that's just amazing. Yeah, there's some really exciting stuff happening kind of behind the scenes as well. I'll just give you a little bit of a lowdown because I promised you a bumper episode, so I hope you're all enjoying this very long video. So I started doing these YouTube videos a few years ago, mainly because I actually just enjoy making videos. It was something that I studied at school, obviously quite a while ago now, and kind of just enjoy the hobby of making the videos. And as well as actually when you are giving yourself a task, setting a task to make a video, you also then, it kind of motivates you to get out and do things for content and stuff. You know, I never go out and purposely do anything to make content, but it's a good motivational factor for, you know, if I'm like, oh, I don't feel like working on the bus this week, which doesn't usually happen, you know, you go, oh, but actually, you know what, I want to put a video out, so I need to go and do something. So definitely felt a little bit like that sometimes in winter, in January when it was really cold and, you know, energies were low and things. But this week, I think it was this week or last week, I got an email from YouTube to say that I had reached the thresholds of you know, becoming a I guess it's called like a YouTube partner. Essentially, I can now be paid for the content that I put out. I get a share of ad revenue, I guess. I'm not expecting this to be lots of money, and I never set out to do this to be any kind of influencer. I do it because I enjoy it, and because I really enjoy the feedback that you guys give me. But it has also meant that now companies can approach me for like partnerships or sponsorships or whatever. Anyways, I'm not saying that this channel is going to end up being like lots of advertisements for people. I know that it's a bit annoying when you watch channels and, I mean, you're always hearing about Surfshark and, you know, I don't know, other things. But, you know, that might be a consideration down the line if they want to partner, and if there's a benefit for my project moving forward. But what I will say is that I have had some emails about receiving items in exchange for reviews, and that's something I'm kind of considering, because if what they're offering me is stuff that I would have bought anyways for the bus, then I'm very happy to try it out and see what happens. So it's kind of a fun time at the moment. It's kind of nice to feel like things are growing and that this project is taking on a bit of a life of its own, and yeah, it's just quite exciting. So anyways, I'm not telling you all that this is going to become some, you know, advertisement filled channel and that things are going to change a lot, but if you see little branding changes here and there, I'm always trying to kind of, I don't know, kind of come up with different ways of making better content. So your feedback is super important and helpful. I loved that you guys really responded to my question last week about would you prefer a bumper episode or a shorter episode. And so if you've got more suggestions of what things work well content wise, what things you don't really like so much, do you like the I don't know, do you like seeing smaller clips of how we do things, or do you like the time lapses with the music and you get to see a real flavor of how things work? I don't know, but let me know if you want to, because that's quite fun and helpful. So that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. A lot has happened, and we've got plans coming up for, you know, the upcoming week. I think things are, as I say every week, things feel like they're starting to move quite quickly now, which is exciting, especially because we've had nice weather, and I just itch to kind of get out there, and I just want to get her out there on the road and use her. But yeah, I hope you're all doing really well, and thank you so much for supporting and liking and subscribing and all that, and we'll catch you next week.